Very good morning, students. Today we will be starting with the first video of cross-cultural management. Mostly in this particular video, we will be talking about the business in the international market, then the critical role of culture in the international market, globalization and the international business environment. Then we're talking defining the culture, understanding the culture, and why it is necessary for the managers to understand the culture. So if we talk that what is culture, it actually encompasses every facet of a life and in process for evaluation. So you can say that culture is the learned behavior. As per Tyler in 1871, he gave the definition that culture is the complex whole reinforced by knowledge, belief, art, laws, morals, custom, and other capabilities and habits of a man as member of a society. So you can see that culture is actually the belief of the people, the knowledge of the people, the art of the people, all blended together in how they act in the society. You can say that there are three layers of culture. One is international culture, one is national culture, and the third one is subculture. So, what is actually the layers of culture? So, if we talk about the first one, that is the international culture. From the name itself, it is understood that it is extending beyond the national boundaries. It is actually not confined to any particular country or group of people or even any continent. The best example of international culture is the institution of marriage, actually, which is practiced by people nearly all over the world. Then you come to national culture. So this represents that the beliefs and the practices shared by the citizen of a particular nation. So it is what makes Indian and Indian and Italian and Italian. Like many Americans, they do not like wedding on a Sunday. But if you talk about Italy, over here they traditionally Sunday wedding is not considered as lucky because according to old Italian tradition, Saturday weddings were to be reserved for widows who were remarried, not first-time brides and grooms. So you can see that the Italians liked Sunday to get married, whereas the Americans did not favor to get married on Sunday. Now I talk about subculture. What will be subculture? So you can see that it is often defined as the belief and attitudes that separate groups within the same broader culture. So as a layer of culture, it is often made up of different differences in the religions, in the socio-economic status, and in the races. So if you go to New York, you can see that at some place you will be feeling like you have come to Italy, somewhere you like you that you have come to Chinatown. So these are all the cultures within a national culture, which forms the subculture. If we talk what is culture, so it can be defined as pattern way of thinking, feeling, and reacting that exists within a particular group, organization, profession, subgroup of a society, nation, or a group of nations. So actually, it is a collective programming of the mind, the software of groups in society. This is given by Hofstede. The main elements of culture are communication, cultivated behavior within the group, learned and accumulated experiences of the people, explicit and implicit patterns that is being practiced by the people in that particular group, their values, their norms, their artifacts, and it is you can say that it is sum total of the learned behavior of the people. So, what is the role of culture? The role of culture is that it actually focuses on the human side of the organization. It facilitates the creation of appropriate systems, norms, and standards. It provides shared meaning to help people to work together to achieve the desired goals. Guides leaders to attach meaning to the behavior of people in the organization. It guides the organization to determine its relationship with the environment. It shapes the attitude of the people. It gives an individual and unique identity to the group of people. So actually globalization has dramatically increased the interaction of people belonging to very diverse cultures. So that is why this particular term cross culture came into being. And it is a very new term, that is why. Globalization actually led to increased trade, there are increased joint ventures and mergers. So globalization has led to global consumer culture, which has led to a flat culture. But in some sense you can say that culture continues to play a role in international business. Now we'll be talking about some cultural negligence which actually led to millions of dollars of losses. So we first take the example of Walt Disney in Paris, then we'll talk about Walmart in Germany, and then we'll talk about Daimler-Benz merger in USA. So if we talk about the Walt Disney in Paris, the main problem over here was that Disney had to face a lot of opposition and resentment to its spark quite early in the venture. Michael Erickson, actually, Michael Eisner, the Disney CEO, was pelted with eggs by French communists when he visited Paris in 1989. The French have always been very proud of their culture and language and have been wary of the invasion of the US pop culture in France. So, actually, the main problem in understanding by the Americans in understanding the European culture, you can say that in many ways, actually, the European people like to sit in the restaurants and they take a meal by sitting down, whereas the Americans, what they do, they eat while they're doing the work. So this was the main problem over there. Secondly, the restaurants did not have enough seating arrangements because they like to sit and eat, and so this was not very much liked with the French people. Then the Europeans were used to walking, while the Americans, they actually drive everywhere. And they prefer fast food, whereas the Europeans do not prefer much of the fast food. Then another problem was that Disney's visitor did not use the expensive tram system, because in which Disney had actually invested the millions of dollars. Americans, they take several short vacations throughout the year, whereas in the case of Europeans, they take long vacations in a year. So this was actually totally opposite from what the Americans behave and how the Europeans behave. So Disney had actually based this particular park, and where Americans take short vacations, as I already said, and Europeans take long vacations. But they had the Americans had, or you can say the people from Walt Disney had made all their vacation package as per the American terms, not as per the European terms, where they prefer long vacations. Secondly, French people are very proud of their wine, and in the restaurants, in order to maintain a very good family picture, the the Walt Disney in France did not provide alcohol in the restaurants, and this actually irked the Europeans very much. And so, what happened ultimately? It has to face a lot of opposition from the French communities. So this was the main problem of Walt Disney, where it faced a huge loss because it could not understand the cultural difference between Americans and Europeans. Now, I talk about in the second example, where we're talking about the failure of Walmart in Germany. So, as you all know, that Walmart is an American company and it opens one of its branches in Germany. Walmart actually did not show sensitivity to local German culture. It did not understand that Germany has one of the most educated workforces over there, and the German workforces are given respect and power in the companies, whereas the Americans follow hire and fire policy, which was not accepted by Germans. Secondly, Germany is the country actually that pioneered work councils for the workers to participate in making major decisions of companies. This is unlike in the US, where actually the company's will is an accepted part of the US free market culture. So US companies in general have an anti-union culture, while German companies have strong unions. So at the individual level, Germany has a much more restrained and private culture than the US. Walmart's German employees and customers did not appreciate Walmart's winning ways in America, like having a friendly gesture at the door. So, this was actually regarded by Germans as a waste of money. Secondly, they also follow the 10 feet rule. When it is, if an employee is within 10 feet of a customer, he or she has to greet the customer and ask whether the customer needs help. So German customer did not like this 10-foot rule, that is infringed their privacy. So what happened was that this German customers did not like the 10-foot rule at all. So the Walmart German managers were also offended when the American CEO of Walmart imposed English as the official language. And so what happened ultimately, the people of Germany actually, or you can say that Walmart failed over there when it opened up in Germany. Next, we'll talk about the example of the merger of Daimler Benz and Chrysler. While you talk that how Walmart, in the Walmart case, how the Americans were trying to impose their culture on a German workforce. In the Daimler-Benz merger with the US auto company, Chrysler, it was the Germans who imposed their corporate culture on the American workforce. Daimler-Benz actually owned 51% of the merged company. So, and Chrysler managers felt that their German partners behaved more as if it was a takeover and not a merger of equals. So the German managers spoke German during the meetings. This automatically actually excluded the Americans from there. So the headquarters of Chrysler were moved to Stuttgart in Germany. So Chrysler had an informal, outward-looking and flexible culture. Daimler-Benz had a conservative, rigid and hierarchical culture. And no efforts were actually made to reconcile these cultural differences. So these differences in national and cross-corporate culture ultimately led to problems in strategic planning, financial management, human resource management, and labor relations, and so on. So ultimately, the heavy losses that this particular mergers actually suffered, their partnership broke off, and in 2009, after their pursuing alliance with the automakers like GM, Volkswagen, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, and Hyundai, Chrysler entered into an alliance with the Italian automaker Fiat. So you can see how not understanding the culture of another country actually ends up into huge losses and ultimately a failure of that particular business. So you can see that all the three cases are highlighting that how actually culture plays a critical role in any business encounter. So if Disney had been more sensitive to the cultural issues, we would have actually realized that the French are very particular about preserving their culture. The marketing professionals at Disney would have tried to adapt their services and products more to the European ways rather than actually assuming that an all American package with a few adaptations would work in Paris. Similarly, you can see that Walmart would have adapted its store design, its offerings, and services according to the German taste. So Disney and Walmart actually human resource management would have realized that French and German employees do not appreciate having to smile all the time at customers, and recent restrictions on their American appreciation or on their appearance. Sorry. So the HR managers would have also known that in Europe, workers' rights are stronger than in the US. So in Europe, workers have to be treated with respect, unlike in the US, where the hire and fire policy is acceptable. And workers are often considered as resources that can be developed in the company when and where the company needs them. If Walmart had been more sensitive to the importance of language in intercultural communication, it would not have imposed English as the working language. So you can see over here how this particular business has failed because of the lack of understanding of culture. Now, if we talk about what the various barriers which contribute to failures in a diverse, you can say diverse workforce. So the first one is ethnocentrism. As we've already talked about ethnocentrism a lot in the previous semester. So over here, I think everybody understands that what is ethnocentrism. It is believing that the people, the customs, and the traditions of your own race or nationality are better than those of other races. If we talk about the second one is self-reference criteria, that is judging another person's culture by the yardsticks of your own culture. So these are the main cultural barriers you can say which contributes to failure. Now, if we talk about cross-cultural communication. So, cross-cultural communication occurs when people with different nationalities, styles of working, age, race, ethnicity, gender orientation, etc., they communicate with each other. It tries to negotiate, exchange, and intermediate cultural difference via verbal and non-verbal forms of communication. So, what is the importance of cross-cultural communication? Of course, it is for the better progress. Cross-cultural communication directly influences the relationship between the managers and the employees. Now, if we talk about cultural influence, in case there is an absence of harmony and a sense of equality due to cultural backgrounds, it can lead to a chaotic situation. Then, if we talk about the management, the company executives will develop some benchmarks for all of the team. Each member would have to act the same and treat everyone with equality. Any discrimination based on culture should be prohibited. Over you can see that there are three factors actually which affect the cross-cultural communication. The first one is interpretation of time, then you have interpretation of space, and then you have non-verbal communication. So if we talk about the first one, that is interpretation of time. Different cultures actually, for example, China and Japan consider punctuality very important, and if somebody is not on time, they might find it annoying or very humiliating. While on the other side, if we talk about the Middle Eastern countries, the South American countries, time would not be of that much importance. Now, if we talk about the interpretation of space, then the second point, the personal space of one culture might also differ drastically from one country to another country, or you can say from one culture to another culture. Some of the countries consider it respectful to maintain space while greeting a meeting, while some other countries may not find it very crucial. Then we have non-verbal communication. So our culture might value content more than context, and they are low context cultures. In such a culture, written words are valuable than oral words. So on the other hand, you can say nations or groups with high context cultures value context more than the written content. Such cultures pay more heed to the non-verbal signs and more than the language. So how to improve cross-cultural communication? So you can say that it is always better to prefer a meaningful conversation. Secondly, one should avoid signaling. The regular use of any non-verbal communication can offend other people. For instance, people from America find it very normal to point at something for a reference or direction. At the same time, other countries like Japan are not very comfortable in making the same gesture. Then, if you talk about awareness, one should have the basic knowledge about their backgrounds and have a personal overview of the same. The organization should focus on these aspects and make arrangements for group discussion. This will enhance the communication skills among the employees and they will understand each other's sentiments. What are the main sources of miscommunication? The first one is assumption of similarities. This misconception lets one develop the understanding that how he or she behaves, thinks or acts is also accepted and perceived around the world in the same manner. So this way of thinking impedes us to understand others' context and we may have negative views about those who differ from us. Then language difference. Such misconceptions occur when the people interacting with each other do not speak the same language. Even in some of the cases, words being spoken in the same language have a different meaning in another context that might cause differences in understanding. Then you have non-verbal misinterpretation like body language, gestures, eye contacts, your postures. They also play a crucial role in this context. For instance, nodding of the head is yes in some cultures, while nodding of the head means no in some other culture. Then you have preconceptions and stereotypes. Some preconceptions about about the non-verbal signals may also cause various issues. Assuming a fixed set of characteristics that you do not like from all members of the group cause such misconception and differences. Then we have tendencies to evaluate. Analyzing others' tendencies, communication, verbal or non-verbal ways of speaking may also be one of the key reasons behind misconception. Then high anxiety. Being highly anxious while interacting with people of a different culture may also create a confusing world around you that will cause misconceptions. When you delve into the world anxious through the process, it hampers your natural understanding. The verbal as well as non-verbal signals will also not support you. So, why is learning of culture very important for the managers? It helps in adopting appropriate business protocol. It helps to understand work culture and global work environment, which helps to improve organizational performance. It helps to comprehend the diversity of markets and customers and understand when products have to be adapted and when to standardize. It helps to understand the perspective and rationale of management techniques in other countries. It helps to enhance one's performance in international negotiations, meetings, and in casual encounters. It helps to improve relocation experience to another country. It gives people a sense of identity and helps in identifying the values that need to be encouraged in the organization. So for this video, this is all from my side. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you, students.